Online at consumerqb.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Consumer Quarterback Show. I'm playing backup quarterback today. I'm Alex Lima with BlackBelt Fitness and Martial Arts, filling in for my boy, Brandon Rhymes, your consumer quarterback. As you know, Brandon and Lindsay, his wife Lindsay, Rhymes, they own the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams, and they have some amazing properties. You just heard Tom Rydberg on the show, one of our mortgage officers and loan originators. He can definitely is one of the guys we can say is He's a good dude, and he always comes in and he brings in good knowledge. He's not trying to mislead people and consumers, and that's what we try to do on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Kind of point you in the right direction and hear the right things instead of so you can fact check. Instead of just being having just a Facebook education and whatnot. Real quick, I want to highlight some of the properties that are available right now through the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams. We have 1991 Orange Court in Dunedin, Florida. This is in Pinellas County. It's just under 2,900 square feet. It is a 5-bedroom, 3-bath home with gorgeous kitchen, beautiful kitchen, just been updated. Features throughout are completely updated, cabinets, appliances, everything. Has solar panels, so that's going to lower your electric bill. Oversized heated pool, large screen in patio, and a huge split floor plan. You can call 813-917-1894 for more information, or go to platinummvpteam.kw.com. Another beautiful property we'd like to highlight right now is 13468 Haverhill Drive in Spring Hill, Florida. That is in Hernando County. It's just under 2,600 square feet. It's a 4-bedroom, 2.5-bath, 2-story home, very low HOA fees, Corian countertops, stainless steel appliances throughout. It's in a beautiful community. It has community pools, playgrounds, and fitness center. Once again, you can call 813-917-1894 or go to www.platinummvpteam.kw.com. On the phone lines, we have Mark Olesh. He is the regional director for the South Florida region of Keller Williams. So speaking of Keller Williams, we have one of the big wigs here right now that's going to tell us about the philosophies of Keller Williams and exactly why it is you should be doing business with Keller Williams. How's it going, Mark?
Oh, it's going great, Alex. Glad to be with you. We're certainly proud of all the great real estate business Brandon and the Platinum Group does with our office.
Yeah, and like I said, I've known prior to going live. You and I were talking. I've known Brandon and Lindsay for several years, and they're good people, and I believe they do follow the philosophies and that is involved with being an agent of Keller Williams.
Yeah, it's a special philosophy. When I started in real estate 20 years ago, I wasn't sure that I was going to do it full time, and I learned more about real estate and this company, and it's just been a great fit for the last 2 decades.
Yeah, so 20 years. So what were you doing? What were you doing prior? Like, what kind of industries were you in before?
I grew up in Southern California, and as a young man was a big sports fan. My goal was to broadcast the Rose Bowl. In Southern California, it's a big game on New Year's Day.
Yeah.
So I actually did that. I covered it 3 times. I wasn't on the national broadcast, but I covered it 3 times.
No kidding.
Yeah, and had a great time. Covered the Washington-Michigan game one year when Tyrone Wheatley set the Rose Bowl record for rushing yards, and a couple other games, and really enjoyed it. I ended up out here for that very reason. I went from Southern California to Central Texas to Austin to do a morning television show, and then I ended up getting hired out here to do weekend sports at Channel 28, which I did for a year with a great group of people over there, and covered the Daytona 500, did some other stuff. But, I had a great about a 12 or 15-year run in local television, which was really a lot of fun. And then I rolled into real estate here.
That's awesome. That's interesting. So you definitely that's cool that you got to pursue something that was a passion of yours. Not many people can say that. And then after doing that for X amount of years, then cross over and get into real estate. So now did you start as a real estate agent, and then obviously you've worked your way up, but was the start just being working from the ground up?
Yeah, it was really started me just learning something. My wife said to me when I was kind of burned out of local TV, why don't you just go learn something? Why don't you learn something new? So I took the course, and I had a great instructor in the course. I told her I was just going to learn how to invest in property. And she said, well, why don't you actually work with buyers and sellers and help them to find homes? I said, I kind of know how that works. My mom did that. And she said, well, let me ask you a question. If I could show you 3 different ways to build a real estate business, would you listen? And I said, sure. So she kind of described some different strategies, and I said, well, actually, maybe I'll give it a try. So in November of 2001, I started as a real estate agent. working with buyers and sellers at the Keller Williams office in Clearwater, Florida. And it's really just been one opportunity after another to learn new things and to grow. And I started by growing a real estate business. I grew it over a year and a half with my database of people that I knew from the couple of years I had been here.
Yeah.
And had a great time, loved it. And they asked me if I would run the office. So I took over an office in Clearwater that had about 125 agents, 20 of whom we had never seen. So we went through the roster. We said, okay, we really have about 95 or 100. And we started building it. We built it to 210 agents.
Wow.
And they asked me if I'd ever thought of running the region. So I said, no, I had never thought about that. And I started running the region in January of 2007. And I've really been doing that ever since.
It's the age-old story of, the person that's always the adventurer, the journeyman. You get to the top of the mountain, and then you look, and it's like, well, what do I do now? Oh, look, there's another mountain. You keep going, right?
Yeah, one of the cool things about life, right, is I've noticed every time I've been bored, it's been my own fault, and it's because I've stopped learning. And as soon as I got into this company and this environment where it's all about learning all the time, life just got exciting again. And so it was just one opportunity kind of presents itself once you open a door to learn something new. Some things you like, some things you don't, some things you do well, some things you don't. But it's been a really fun ride because we started here with about 2,000 agents, maybe 1,800 to 2,000 agents, and now we're at 7,500 agents between Tampa and Melbourne, all the way down into Key West, kind of the south half of the state. And it's just a great partnership and really a lot of fun people.
Wow, those are big numbers, 7,500 agents, and obviously that's spread throughout different. But that's your region. That's spread throughout different counties and cities and stuff within Florida there. But so how is that delegated? Like, is it broken off into districts, or is it per office? Like, how is that all delegated? Like, when you want to bring the teams together? Because obviously, one thing that I found very interesting right now about Keller Williams is the education, like you're talking about. Everybody's kind of on the same page. I know you guys have those meetings and like those things that come out for all the agents. Like, everybody's kind of has the opportunity to be educated at the same time and be learned. It's not like we're holding out, not showing these agents these tricks. Like, everybody across the board, you want them to be better.
Yeah, we want everyone to have an opportunity to learn and to grow. And so we have 34 offices, what we call market centers. And each of those are individually owned and operated. They all have an operating partner. And they're not, in other words, they're not corporately owned. And then what I do, my role as the regional director, is to bring those leadership groups together, typically once a week for an hour by Zoom, and then every other month or maybe even quarterly in person to just talk about best practices. What are the strategies that help our agents to be best so that they can help the consumers to have a great experience when they're buying and selling property?
Nice. I love that. And then piggybacking on that, actually, or doing a deeper dive, getting into the Keller Williams philosophy. Like, what is it that makes Keller Williams different and makes them want to give all this extra love and care and attention to their agents to help them prosper and be successful?
If I was going to say one overarching piece to it, I would say our fundamental philosophy is God, family, and business.
Nice.
And not a lot of businesses are willing to say that, but we do. We say, unless you believe you created yourself, you ought to believe there's a higher power.
Amen to that, yeah.
And that your family ought to come first, and that business, after God, that is, and then your business ought to, fund what your family wants to do and the legacy you want to leave. And so it's God, family, and business in that order.
Yeah, putting things in perspective and following your the true priorities, which seems to be forgotten a lot of times, and it's still there, but it can seem like we're outnumbered a lot of times. Not a lot of people have common sense or these strong morals, and so I'm actually really happy to hear that Keller Williams is so strong with that.
Well, you get into a lot of business environments, and people work hard, and they do really well, and I think there are a lot of great companies that do that. One of the things I've loved about being here is we also have perspective. So I've had a Tuesday night or a Thursday night where I've had Nikki Ubaldini, who's our regional operating partner, say, you need to go home. You've been here too long. Just get out of here. Or if I'm having a conversation with her, she'll say, have you guys taken a vacation this year? Do you guys have your vacation set? So over time, I've learned to do that. It's funny, Alex, when I was a kid, everyone's got a different experience that sort of shapes them. Mine was, we never took vacation. I grew up in Southern California. We took 2 vacations. We drove our Volkswagen Squareback once to San Diego and once to San Francisco. And my dad never wanted to take time off. I asked him about that later in life. He's still alive. He's 87. We have a great relationship. He said, I was afraid to take off. I was afraid they'd replace me. I was afraid that I would lose my job and I wouldn't be able to support the family. And so I had to learn that skill. I had to learn how to take vacations, how to take a break, and how to enjoy life. It was a really powerful thing that Gary Keller shared with us early on in one of the meetings. And I don't know if you or any of our listeners would identify with this, but boy, it hit me really clearly. He drew something on the board. He drew at the top 0 to 18, and then he drew 19 to 65, and then he drew 65 plus. And he wrote under 0 to 18, learn, and under 19 to 65, he wrote earn, and then under 65 plus, he wrote play. And he said, did anyone grow up with that philosophy? And I thought, well, yeah, that's exactly what I grew up with. He said, that's wrong.
Yeah.
You should do all of those things every day. You should learn, you should earn, and you should have fun. And so we're not perfect at it, right? But it's cool to be part of a group that says that's what we aim for. We aim to work hard and have fun, both at the same time. And then we enjoy the adventure that God has put in front of us.
Absolutely. I mean, tomorrow is not promised. So to the mindset of, hey, I'll do it later on. I'll do it later on. It's tomorrow's not guaranteed. I mean, anything can happen from here to then, and you don't want to miss out. Life is too short and too precious. Make the most of it. Make the best of it.
That's it.
Yeah. All right, Mark, we're going to take a quick break, but when we come back from the break, I'd like to get deeper with you. I want to hear about how the real estate market for buyers is right now, and also how Keller Williams is how are they doing? How are they prospering in today's day and age with the economy and everything that we have going on? So more when we come back with Mark Olesh, the South Florida Regional Director.
Hey, I'm Ken Shamrock, and you're here with Consumer Quarterback Show. And I say, Brandon Rhymes, knock out your competition.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Consumer Quarterback Show. I'm your host, Alex Lima, filling in for the phenomenal Brandon Rhymes. As we usually do, we like to pull on your heartstrings a little bit before I get back on the phone lines here with my friend Mark Olesh, the South Florida Regional Director for Keller Williams. We want to hit you with the feel-good story of the day. If you want to get hit with anything, it's a feel-good story, right? So what we have is a grandfather builds a 200-foot-long backyard sledding course for his grandkids. That's already amazing. Minnesota is one of several states across the country that has experienced heavy snow and blizzard conditions over the past several weeks. But a local grandfather has taken the recent weather as an opportunity to build the ultimate winter wonderland for his grandchildren. The man, named Steve, we'll call him Grandpa Steve, built a 200-foot-long backyard sledding course, according to his daughter, Nicole. Nicole posted a video on TikTok showing the building of the course, which she said took her dad about 80 hours to complete. Nicole said her children voted to name the slope in his honor, calling it Papa Bear Plunge. That's awesome. They have spent several hours sledding already and plan to use it for the rest of the winter. Nicole said their reactions have been priceless and their smiles have been ear to ear. That's awesome. That's the feel-good story of the day. So, we have that horrible weather that's been going on in the states that are much colder than us here in Florida. And, there's been a lot of unfortunate things, but way to take something negative and turn it into a positive, and we need more of that in life. So now back to the lines here in a second with my friend Mark Olesh, the South Regional Florida Director for Florida for Keller Williams. Mark, how you doing, my man? So before we left for the break, we were talking about the real estate market for buyers and also how Keller Williams, how they're prospering and doing right now in these times.
Yeah, well, it's a good question, right? Because the whole economy is changing. In fact, this morning I was having my teeth cleaned at the dentist, and the hygienist said she was at a local grocery store and looked up, and organic eggs were $10.99 a dozen. And she said she almost fell over. So there's definitely an economy piece happening here, right, with everything, let alone the real estate market. And if you just think of it in terms of big picture, we went from, in 2021, there were 6.1 million homes sold nationally. Last year, it dropped to 4.9 million. And this year, the forecast says, the experts say, it'll be more around 4 million. So it'll be fewer houses trading hands, maybe fewer buyers, maybe fewer sellers, a combination of both. And you'll also see the number of realtors change. I mean, last month alone, in December of 2022, the National Association of Realtors lost 17,000 realtors out of their association because there's just less business being done there. And yet one of the things we're blessed with in Florida is one of the most beautiful places in the world to live, and a competitive climate for jobs and opportunities and growth. So I think we're going to continue to see a lot of new home starts. In fact, a good year is about 1 million new home starts. We had about 900,000 nationwide. And all over South Florida here with Keller Williams, we have people who are, we have a whole new homes division, which is focused on getting new homes and getting people into new homes. So I think that's a promising piece. And I think we always talk about, don't look at, well, we say it this way, we say just because there is, the opportunity is, just because there are fewer opportunities doesn't mean your opportunity has to be less.
That's right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think if you stay focused on that, and as a buyer and seller, what that means is, hey, you say, well, the rates have gone up to 6.5, which I think they're down now. They're up to over 7, I think, at one time. Now they're down in there around 6.5, and they'll probably dip down into 5 again. But people ask, should I sell my house when the interest rates have gone up? I've got a lower rate, and now I'm going to pay a higher rate. Well, if you see the house you want, and you see the opportunity that's for you, and you have different needs, historically, perspective-wise, even 6 and 7% is very low. 3%, which we came out of, is the all-time low. If you look at a chart going back to 1972, what we just came out of is the lowest ever. So I don't know if it's ever going back to 3%. I don't think it is, but it's still very, very competitive. We've just lost a little bit of our perspective on that. And I think the opportunity, whether you're a buyer or a seller, to get into a home that you really want, or the home that really fits your family's needs, is still as good as it ever was. Back in 1981 or so, Alex, the interest rate was 16.5.
Wow.
So this is really still competitive. Even in 2000, it was still 8% on average. So in there at
but at that time, with that percentage, though, the houses themselves were less costly.
Absolutely.
But it's still, for the time, it's still a massive payment, though. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. If you look at sort of the historical trend lines, we're where we should be in terms of home pricing and increase in salaries and income, median income, and that type of thing. We just haven't mentally adjusted to the fact that, oh my gosh, I could have had a mortgage for 3%, and now it's going to cost me 7%. And relatively speaking, that's still very competitive. And I can tell you, it hasn't stopped. It wouldn't stop me from buying something. And it's already dipped down to 6.5. If you bought something at 6.5 or 7 and it went down to 4 or 5, you would just refinance anyway.
Sure.
But if you needed the house you wanted, it would be a good time to do it. So I think there'll still be a lot of stuff happening. It won't be as much as we had in this runaway monster time, but we're still in the best state in the union with the greatest opportunities, and so I think we have a lot of good times ahead.
Yeah, I'm with you. And I was actually speaking with a prior guest about this. Trying to time the market is insane. Like, to wait for the 3% to come back around. Like, I haven't seen even a movie about a psychic good enough to do that. You know, there's no way. You know, I think you just, and, you know, correct me. You know, or you know, to piggyback on this too. Like, the best thing is that old adage of, you know, buy low, buy low, sell high when the time is, and that's subjective. You know, but I mean, when you're talking now, at, would you say 6.5% right now?
Yeah, it's right about 6.5.
So about 6.5. You know, I mean, you're talking about 3 points, 3.5 points versus, like you said, in the 80s. I mean, it went up to 16. I mean, I don't know, man. Sometimes you don't just want to sit around and wait. You don't want to miss opportunities.
Yeah, it's your needs, right? And that's why having a good real estate professional understands that piece and is in it for helping you with what you need. Sometimes it's not best for you to sell, but sometimes it is a good time to sell because you need a bigger house or you need to downsize or any number of things. And this is still, relatively speaking, a very good time to do it, and a very affordable time compared to the markets we've had historically.
Yeah, and actually, if I can go back in the conversation just a little bit, when you were talking about how the turnover rate with real estate agents, obviously a lot of that has to do with they weren't making the income that they thought they were going to be making. I think that's a misnomer. I mean, it's unrealistic to think you're going to jump into any industry and right off the bat be making. Now, it doesn't mean you can't get lucky. I'm sure it's happened, but for the most part, you're not going to jump into any industry and just start making a whole lot of money. So what is the advice you have for like a new realtors coming up, or people that, like, you know, maybe they did the quote unquote quit, you know, just recently, but they're not letting that license go. You know, obviously, I think they're starting to learn now, like, you need to have a backup plan. You got to be working. You got to grind. You got to have that one job that allows you time to do your real estate on the side till it becomes your main source of income.
Yeah, one of the things we've done is through technology and being able to track things. We have always believed, we have a book called The Millionaire Real Estate Agent. Mm-hmm. And in that book, what Gary Keller did is he wrote down the plan of what the top agents in the country, this was 25 years ago, what the top real estate agents in the country had done to be successful in the real estate business. And what he noticed is, essentially, Alex, they had all done the same thing. Nobody had written it down and really quantified it, but they were doing similar things. Now we know through tracking stuff on computer that they're actually, now it's verifiable by data. And we know that there are 2 or 3 key things that you can do as a realtor that will really give you business success. There are a lot of other things you could do, but if you did these 2 or 3 things, we know you could have success in the real estate business. So what we've done is really systematize that for people and help them put a business plan together. And if someone really wants to create a real estate business and have a future, you can just follow the plan and the systems that we share. And they're not things that nobody's ever heard of, but it is a really simple plug-and-play formula that can help people to have success. And I think now is as good a time as any to do that, say, for the last couple of years, right? Because what was happening is you had this wave of everybody wanted to buy, and now you have a lot of people want to buy. So there's not buyers and sellers falling out of trees every day like there have been the last couple of years, and yet there's still plenty of buyers and sellers to serve on both sides.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, you know, right there, I'm really big on that. You know, you're not reinventing the wheel. The groundwork is there. Follow the game plan. Somebody has done this already and obviously found great success with it. And Keller Williams is willing to show you the way and teach you the ropes. We got about 30 seconds left, my man. If you can just let people know how to reach you and get a hold of you, or you know, how to take that next step.
Yeah, if you're interested in finding out more about anything about real estate, and certainly about finding out about a real estate career, you could email me with my last name, Olesh @kw.com. And I would love to hear from you and love to share any insight and anything can be of help to you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time. It's been a pleasure talking to you. All our guests today, we really appreciate you teaching our Bay Area listeners the right way. Check us all out at www.consumerqb.com. We'll catch you next time.
You've been listening to The Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes. Whether it's real estate, consumer, or financial advice, let Brandon call your next play. Call Brandon Rhymes at 813-917-1894. That's 813-917-1894. Online at consumerqb.com. And join us next time for The Consumer Quarterback Show.